America, the Supreme Court is about to take up a case that could change everything we thought we knew about citizenship in this country. This isn't a small legal technicality. This is a ruling that could rewrite the rules of who belongs in America, who gets to vote, and who shapes the future of our nation. Historians may one day point to this moment and say, that was when the course of the country was forever altered, and the left knows it. Because if the court rules the way many experts predict, it could end a century-old interpretation that has fueled mass illegal immigration and shifted the balance of political power. If you care about border security, if you care about the value of American citizenship, if you care about the future of our elections, then you need to watch this entire video. Because what you're about to hear is not just legal analysis. It is a glimpse into the very future of America. Smash the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because today we're breaking down the Supreme Court case that could reshape the country for generations. Let's go back to 1868. America was a nation healing from civil war, struggling to define what it meant to be a citizen. The 14th Amendment was born in that crucible, designed to protect the rights of freed slaves, ensuring they were recognized as full citizens under the Constitution. As the executive order puts it, the privilege of United States citizenship is a priceless and profound gift. The 14th Amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Its purpose was clear. Citizenship is not a gift. It is a shield against injustice, a shield to preserve liberty. But here's what most Americans don't realize. The 14th Amendment was never meant to guarantee automatic citizenship to the children of illegal migrants, temporary visa holders, or anyone with no permanent ties to this nation. That distinction matters more today than ever. Fast forward to 1898. The Supreme Court decided Wong Kim Ark, interpreting the 14th Amendment carefully. They emphasized domicile, meaning citizenship applied only to children whose parents had permanent allegiance to America. Citizenship wasn't automatic. It was earned, rooted in law, loyalty, and permanence. Over the decades, that original intent was slowly stretched into universal birthright citizenship, creating a system where any child born on US soil, regardless of their parents' legal status, could claim citizenship. Enter President Trump. His executive order is a bold attempt to restore the Constitution to its original intent. The order makes it clear, among the categories of individuals born in the United States and not subject to the jurisdiction thereof, the privilege of United States citizenship does not automatically extend to persons. When the mother was unlawfully present in the United States and the father was not a US citizen or lawful permanent resident, or when the mother's presence was lawful but temporary. In other words, if at least one parent is not lawfully present or a permanent resident, the child does not automatically become an American citizen. This is not radical. It is constitutional fidelity. It is about restoring order to a system that has been exploited for decades. The executive order reinforces the stakes. It is the policy of the United States that no department or agency shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship to persons whose parents are not lawfully present or permanent residents. The language is precise. The intent is clear. The goal is simple. Citizenship must have value. Immigration must have rules. The law must matter. President Trump's administration argued that the historical meaning of subject to the jurisdiction does not extend to children whose parents are here illegally or present only temporarily because they do not owe full political allegiance to the United States. This isn't a technical legal tweak. It's a direct challenge to how America defines citizenship itself. Lower courts blocked the executive order curbing automatic birthright citizenship, ruling it inconsistent with the 14th Amendment and Supreme Court precedents. Now, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear the case, an unmistakable signal that the question is not settled. It's unresolved, significant, and capable of rewriting national policy. Whether the court adheres to a broad historical interpretation of the citizenship clause or adopts a narrower, originalist view could determine the future of immigration, border policy, and the meaning of American identity. Patriots should understand this. Citizenship isn't just a status, it's a cornerstone of sovereignty. The upcoming ruling will define who belongs, who decides, and what it means to be American in the 21st century. So why is this such a big deal? Because right now, the system is working against the very rules that hold our country together. Families cross the border illegally, fully aware that a child born here automatically becomes an American citizen. That child isn't just a citizen, they become leverage. Legal delays, extended stays, and loopholes all stack in their favor. It's like a game where the rules reward the rule breakers and punish the law-abiding. And the consequences, they ripple through our neighborhoods, our schools, our healthcare system, and yes, our elections. Let's pause for a moment. Imagine your community. Imagine hardworking families following every law, paying taxes, raising kids, and then you see others exploiting a loophole to gain political and legal advantage. How does that feel? Drop a comment below if you've seen this play out in your own state. This is where the contrast becomes clear. On one side, you have patriots, Americans who believe in fairness, rule of law, and protecting the sovereignty of this nation. They look at citizenship as sacred, earned, and tied to loyalty. On the other side, you have elites and policymakers who have engineered a system where incentives reward lawbreaking. They talk about inclusion and compassion, but in practice, their policies reshape demographics and tilt political power. It's a clash of values, vision, and consequences. If the Supreme Court restores the original intent of the 14th Amendment, those so-called anchor babies lose their legal leverage. The incentive for mass illegal migration disappears. Immigration law enforcement gains clarity, authority, and teeth. Think about it. This isn't a tweak. This is a reset of the entire legal architecture that governs who can claim citizenship in America. It's like taking a wobbly bridge worn down by decades of bending rules and finally reinforcing every beam and joint. And patriots need to ask themselves, do we want a nation held together by principles, structure, and accountability, or by convenient loopholes and political engineering? If you agree that law-abiding citizens deserve a system that works for them, smash that like button. And if you want to stay ahead of how this ruling could reshape the country, hit subscribe, because this is just the beginning. You might be asking yourself, why does this even matter to me? Because citizenship isn't just a legal phrase on paper. It determines who votes, who receives government benefits, and who shapes the rules that govern our daily lives. From our schools and hospitals to border security and public safety, the policies around immigration and citizenship touch every single community. When the system rewards law-breaking, the consequences are real. Think overcrowded classrooms, hospitals stretched to the limit, and neighborhoods under pressure. Communities paying the price for a loophole they never asked for. This is why the Supreme Court's decision is so critical. It could restore balance, ensuring that citizenship and immigration laws work for the people who follow the rules, not those who exploit the system. Patriots, this is about more than policy. It's about fairness, sovereignty, and protecting the integrity of America itself. Patriots understand something crucial. America isn't held together by slogans, speeches, or well-meaning policies. It is held together by structure, law, and responsibility. When those structures weaken, even if the country appears stable, the consequences ripple quietly until they become undeniable. Entire systems of governance, civic integrity, and social order hinge on these pillars. The Birthright Citizenship case is about defending those pillars. It's about ensuring that American citizenship retains its value, its meaning, and its integrity. This is not a political abstract. It is the architecture that underpins sovereignty, the rule of law, and the democratic process. Consider the political science behind this. For decades, incentives embedded in immigration and citizenship law have shaped voter demographics, party strategy, and state-level political power. When legal rules reward rule breaking, elites gain leverage, while ordinary citizens face structural disadvantages. This is institutional drift in action, a slow, cumulative expansion of power and advantage that reshapes politics and society without legislation. History offers stark lessons. Lincoln preserved a divided republic at war. Reagan restored confidence in a nation fatigued by internal turmoil. In each case, patriots understood that survival requires defending the underlying framework of the nation, not just reacting to surface crises. The stakes of the birthright citizenship case are no less dramatic. Elites may frame this as progress or transformation. Patriots see it as preservation. One side imagines a nation that can be reshaped without consequence. The other recognizes that a country survives only when its foundations, law, sovereignty, and civic responsibility are actively defended. The consequences are not theoretical. Electoral power, demographic trajectories, and the incentives shaping migration flows are all on the table. A ruling that restores the original constitutional intent would realign incentives, strengthen rule of law enforcement, and reaffirm that citizenship is earned, not inherited by circumstance. Every American who values fairness, sovereignty, and national stability needs to grasp the stakes. This is more than a Supreme Court case. It is a turning point for the Republic itself. The outcome will echo for decades, shaping elections, influencing policy, and defining what it truly means to be an American. Patriots, pay attention. History is watching. The nation's integrity hangs in the balance. And understanding these stakes is not optional. It is your duty. America, here's the latest. And it matters more than most headlines suggest. The Supreme Court just partially paused lower court rulings that blocked President Trump's executive order on birthright citizenship. By a 6-3 vote, the court repudiated the idea of universal or nationwide injunctions, the tool that allowed judges to halt the enforcement of a law or policy across the entire country. Think about that for a moment. For decades, federal courts could freeze any policy nationwide, even if it applied to just one person or case. It was a power that put the judiciary above the law itself, shaping national policy without a single legislative vote. Now the court is drawing a line. No more sweeping one-size-fits-all injunctions. Policies must be challenged in the courts where they actually apply. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, writing the opinion, explained that while universal injunctions give the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, federal courts are not meant to exercise general oversight over the executive branch. They exist to resolve cases and controversies, not rewrite national policy from the bench. Here's the catch. The court did not rule on the constitutionality of the birthright citizenship order itself. That fight is still ahead. But by narrowing the power of these nationwide blocks, the court has cleared a path for the Trump administration to begin enforcing parts of the order more widely, even if the lower courts continue to weigh in. For patriots, this is a significant win. It limits judicial overreach, restores a measure of balance between branches of government, and keeps the conversation about birthright citizenship alive at the national level. It also sets the stage for the next wave of legal battles. Lower courts may still try to slow the order, class action lawsuits could appear, and the question of who qualifies for citizenship will ultimately be decided. But the Supreme Court just sent a clear message. Courts cannot unilaterally block policy nationwide just because they disagree with it. Ask yourself this. Do we want a judiciary that writes laws from the bench, or one that respects the structure of government and the rule of law? If you agree that America should be governed by laws, not loopholes or judicial overreach, hit the like button and subscribe, because this story is far from over and patriots need to stay informed. Think about the last century. America has changed faster, more dramatically, and more fundamentally than most realize. Our borders, our population, our political landscape, all have been shaped by the incentives embedded in the law. At the heart of it is birthright citizenship. For decades, the rule has been clear in practice. If a child is born on US soil, that child becomes an American citizen regardless of their parents' legal status. And make no mistake, this created a system of incentives. Families crossing the border illegally quickly learned the path. have a child here, gain leverage in legal proceedings, delay deportation, and access government benefits. It's a loophole disguised as policy, a reward system for rule breaking, a tool that reshaped communities, altered demographics, and, over time, influenced political outcomes. Now the Supreme Court is asking a question that could rewrite that entire system. If the court restores the original intent of the 14th Amendment, it removes that incentive. The reward disappears. The rules favor those who follow the law. And suddenly, the United States cannot be gamed simply by crossing a border and giving birth on US soil. This is why this case is a turning point. The court didn't dismiss it. They chose to hear it. That signals something extraordinary. The Constitution may be read differently than it has for 125 years. And the consequences go beyond law. This decision could slow demographic pressures, reshape migration patterns, and even influence the political balance across the country. This is not abstract. This is a moment where the rules that govern our nation's future, who belongs, who has rights, who shapes our democracy, are being reconsidered. The outcome could define the trajectory of America for generations to come. Now take a step back and look at the big picture. What we're witnessing is more than a court case. It's a national crossroads. The Supreme Court isn't just interpreting law, it is testing the resilience of our republic, the integrity of our borders, and the meaning of citizenship itself. This is a moral turning point for America. Every decision, every precedent, every interpretation sends a message about what we value as a nation. Do we reward rule followers, protect sovereignty, and defend the principles that made this country exceptional? Or do we allow shortcuts, loopholes, and incentives that undermine the very foundations of law and order? Patriots understand this intuitively. Freedom is not guaranteed by slogans, and liberty is not preserved by convenience. It is preserved by adherence to principle, respect for law, and the courage to defend what is right, even when it is difficult. The lessons here are clear. Citizenship has meaning only when it is earned. Law has power only when it is applied fairly and consistently. Democracy thrives only when rules are enforced and incentives align with responsibility. This is also a warning for every American. The choices we tolerate today shape the nation our children inherit tomorrow. Allow the erosion of these principles, and the republic slowly weakens. Defend them, and we reinforce the very pillars that have held this nation together for centuries. The court's decision is more than legal. It is a test of character for the nation. It asks us to reflect on who we are, what we stand for, and how far we are willing to go to protect the integrity of our country. America's future is not written by chance. It is determined by the courage of its citizens to uphold truth, law, and justice. The time to pay attention, to understand, and to act is now. America stands at a crossroads. The Supreme Court is asking a question that goes beyond law. It is asking what kind of nation we want to be. Will we honor the rule of law, protect our sovereignty, and ensure that citizenship has meaning? Or will we allow shortcuts and loopholes to redefine the very fabric of this country? Patriots understand that freedom is fragile. Liberty is not guaranteed by slogans, speeches, or elections alone. It is preserved by structure, responsibility, and courage. Every law, every precedent, every citizen plays a role in holding the republic together. Think of it this way: a nation is like a bridge. Every beam matters. Every joint carries weight. A crack ignored today may lead to collapse tomorrow. Birthright citizenship, border security, and election integrity, these are not abstract policies. They are the load-bearing pillars of our republic. The court's decision could restore balance, reinforce the law, and protect the integrity of American citizenship. But it will not act alone. The future depends on informed, vigilant citizens who understand what is at stake. So I ask you, will you pay attention? Will you stay informed, speak up, and defend the principles that have made this country strong? Because the choices we make today will define the nation our children inherit tomorrow. If you care about the future of America, if you care about fair elections, secure borders, and the true value of citizenship, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because when the Supreme Court moves, America moves. and patriots need to move with it. Fully aware, fully engaged, fully committed. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay proud. And I'll be here with you every step of the way. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.